God, what am I watching?
In the past.
What?
And then I need a summon.
MMOs were regarded as the godfathers of games.
Dude, this is an hour long. Oh, this is 30 minutes long. I cannot. I literally can't. Wait, is that Mr. Beast? Wait, this guy actually looks like Mr. Beast.
Yeah, we can maybe hold on that one, but that one that we
This
just
guy
played
legit
at
looks
the
like
end,
Mr. Beast. Oh my god, I'm
we
flying.
need to be a lot faster.
I mean, it's kind of hard to do that when, like, you can recall, right?
You will love this, I promise. Cardin, I don't got 30 minutes.
MMOs were regarded as the godfathers of games. They were the peak of what developers.
Okay, I'll watch it. I'll watch it.
Even though, looking back, that's a fairly subjective thing to say. Everyone knew.
Wait, what is this called? The World of Riot's MMO is already done? No, what? No way, dude. I saw this actually. I didn't see this, but I saw that. They were doing an
In the
MMO.
past, MMOs were regarded as the godfathers of games. They were the peak of what developers could accomplish. Even though, looking back, that's a fairly subjective thing to say. Everyone knew MMOs had the power to create cult following, but also everyone knew making MMOs was hard. On average, an MMO has to spend at least 6 years in the baking before it can get anywhere near being good.
Did they
But
release
that
gameplay for
didn't
this?
stop companies from jumping onto the
No way.
bandwagon anyway.
That would be
And
insane.
Soon we could see dozens of new MMOs, all releasing in 2008. All being called
Lord of the Rings? There was a Lord of the Rings?
None of them did that. And unfortunately, we can feel the ripple effects even now. It got to a point where every time a new MMO is announced, we all think the same thing. Oh. Anyway, when you're working on an MMO, you have to respect three
Dude.
pillars. Gameplay is king, social interactions matter, and the world setting is important. When Riot announced their MMO, it became clear that 2 of the pillars are being respected, and the third one is already done. When it comes to the gameplay, it is currently in the hands of Ghostcrawler, someone who's been working on WoW during its best times, and someone who got a reputation for hating boomkins and loving mages. When it comes to the social interactions, it is a dance between the developers and the players. A dev can guide players towards social interactions, or they can annihilate them. And after that, the players usually find their own fun inside the MMO. From that point on, the devs should do everything in their power to support the players having fun in their own way. And finally, when it comes to the world of an MMO, in Riot's case, it's done. And it's been finished for quite a few years now. In fact, the world of Riot's MMO is in such a good state, they already have the continents, the zones, the cultures, and the races. And to a lesser degree, every zone already has its own storyline. Now, of course, unless you follow the lore of League of Legends, you wouldn't know about this. And that's why I decided to make this video. I want to show you all the zones we are going to see in the MMO and what sorts of quests we are going to do there. So, for the purpose of this video, I will assume you have no idea what League of Legends is about. You have no idea what the universe is about,
I don't.
but you like MMOs, your hairline is receding, and you have a crippling fear of Nintendo 64 controllers.
Me?
To which, I might add, why do you think I'm wearing hats? But now, without further ado, let's have a look at all the zones in Riot's MMO. This is Runeterra, the world of League of Legends. Right now, the world is separated into 10 main regions. But these 10 regions don't cover all the land on the map, so there are some mini zones. The
Shadow Isles.
And the lore already revealed that there is gonna be another continent further to the east.
I didn't know this was League of Legends
related.
related.
Sounds like a future expansion to me. In fact, it would be foolish to release all of these regions at launch. You can easily turn half of these into separate expansions. And because a lot of people already know and love these regions, the hype behind these expansions would be big. With that said, I know a lot of you would like to play as Shrimans or Ionians. And now you may be cursing me for suggesting that these would be expansions. But the lore can justify giving you these nations as playable races without having their regions. I'll show you how Riot can pull this off in a bit. First, let's talk about the regions Riot's MMO has to start with. The Northern Continent. This entire continent is called Valorant. Not Valorant, Valorant.
Oh.
And this is where the absolute core of this world is. The two main regions here are Demacia and Noxus. They are the two big rivals.
Dude, these are
equivalent
kinda
to
huge.
the
What the
Horde
heck?
and the Alliance. While I would like to say that Demacia is your classic normie
League of
human
Legends has a
region,
crazy story?
it's not really true. Runeterra
I
doesn't
would have
really
never
have
guessed.
a normal place. There is something cool happening in every region. And Demacia has racism. Okay, maybe not racism, because Demacia doesn't mind Yordles or Minotaurs, but they
Wait, those are
really
so
hate
cute.
mages. That's because in
Fuck
the
the
past,
mages,
their
dude.
rivals almost annihilated half of the world using magic. And so, Demacia was built inside a magic-absorbing forest.
What? That's so
Therefore,
cool.
Demacia is a really cool place where you can hide from magic. When it comes to the visuals of the zone, you can see a lot of lush fields.
I have
It is
that mount.
surrounded by mountains, but the iconic part of Demacia are the buildings.
I have that
They
one
are
too.
made of petricite, which is a combination of stone and the magic-absorbing wood. Because these ancient magic-absorbing trees were grey, all the buildings have a marble-like appearance. And
Oh,
yes,
man.
given what material they are using, all the buildings in Demacia also absorb magic. So should a mage visit this region, let's just say it's gonna be a painful experience. On top of this, let's not forget that Demacians can weaponize petricite. They can turn it into petricite steel, which gives you your classic anti-magic weapons, and you can sculpt petricite constructs which wake up after absorbing magic. Simply said, these guys just really don't like magic. The irony is, they've been absorbing it for
Isn't
years
that magic
now.
right there? Yeah.
And this
what?
is where the story would kick in. You see, the Demacians are so afraid of magic, they founded the Mage Seeker Order. This is an order of people who hunt mages, they throw them into prison, and they torture them until their body gives up on magic. So yes, being a mage is a crime in Demacia. The thing is,
Fuck the
people still get
mages.
naturally born with magical abilities. You can't stop it from happening. So not only
Aww.
are there mages hiding in the royal court,
Wait,
right
that's so
now there is a
sad.
mage civil war happening in Demacia.
They're
where
just born
mages
like
and
that.
people who don't hate mages rise up to fight for moral rights. So should we do some quests in this zone? This is gonna be the core story. Mages trying to overthrow racist leadership following old laws. So the main enemy NPCs might be mages and witches. But I know what you're thinking now. And don't worry. There will be plenty of boars to kill here too. Or at least there are loads of wolves here, as well as stags.
Let go of the boars.
And we can't forget the iconic Demacian raptors.
Looks.
But further to the south,
world
we
map
might
looks pretty
find some
open,
crag
honestly.
beasts, tiny woolly elephants, and yes, of course, in the Argent Mountains there are also dragons.
So cute. Oh
Loads
my god,
and
that's
loads
not
of
cute.
Dragons. But that's about it for Demacia. Fun fact,
my
the capital city
gosh.
of Demacia is called the Great City of Demacia. Sounds dumb, but Runeterra was not the first one to come up with this. But thankfully the other regions are a bit more creative with their names. So now, let's move away from the normie region and let's have a look at the badass region. Noxus.
Hell yeah.
If you're
Let's
planning
go.
on playing a warrior with oversized weapons and overcompensating lush hair, this is the region for you.
Hell yeah,
This
that's me.
place actually has a long and badass history, but we really don't have the time to explain it now. So just know that originally it was built by the most badass warrior in the history of Runeterra. This motherfucker literally died on a mountain of corpses. And after he died, he was too angry to stay dead, so he just became the god of the underworld.
Oh my
When
god.
this guy lived, he
What?
built the Immortal Bastion, which
This looks
is to this day the
insane.
largest structure on the entirety of Runeterra. And currently, he is banished underneath the Immortal Bastion, but only a few people know about it.
Dude, that's
So,
like the
you
Terra
know,
Grew.
That's a future raid boss. Anyway, the Immortal Bastion is the
Terra
capital city
Grew,
of
let's
the
go.
Noxian Empire, with Noxus being one of the most brutal nations in Runeterra. It is brutal because the nation is surrounded by rocky earth. It is hard to grow plants here. So Noxians are forced into conquering surrounding land for resources to survive. That's why when you go to the map, you can notice that the Noxian territory is all over the place. It's because these are
Dude,
all
that
the
area
places
looks
Noxus
so
has already
cool.
conquered. Although, when I say it like that, you may imagine Noxus brutally raiding everything. But that's not true. They like to absorb the surrounding nations into their empire. After all, it's just more human resources.
hello.
Most of the time, they only remove the royalty and they let the leaderless people join their empire. And that's because Noxus values strength above all. And rulers tend to not be good fighters. This is what you can see in the After Victory cinematic. They kill the king because he was weak and let everyone else join them. Fun fact, conquering nations is so iconic for Noxus, they have their own saying. Kill them until they are family.
Oh
So
my
when it comes to the quests in Noxus, it
These
is
people
most
are
likely going to be
ruthless.
helping the
What the
Empire
heck?
expand its territory. Although, this region has its own unique enemies too. Inside the Immortal Bastion, there is a cult known as the Black Rose. This cult is connected to the darkest of magics. So be ready to fight Hemomancers, witches, demons,
Oh my
and
gosh.
the Grey Legion, which is an army of soldiers revived with blood magic to fight for the Empire again.
Dude,
And when
that's
it comes
intense.
to collecting 10 bear asses, here we have the native Drakehounds and Basilisks. Now, while Noxus and Demacia are the main rivals here, both of them are also constantly repelling raids from the north. So now, let's have a look at the Freljord. Just like pretty much any region on Runeterra, Freljord has a long history. But for the purpose of this video, just know
Ooh.
that the maddening old gods known as the Watchers of the Void, who want to devour the entire reality only because it keeps waking them up, once tried to breach into reality here. They almost succeeded because they tricked the Ice Witch Lysandra into
Oh my
helping
god,
them.
she's
Fortunately,
so
she
pretty. What the
realized
heck?
how wrong she was, and she managed to freeze half of the kingdom with the Watchers still beneath them. So these days, the Ice Witch is the only person holding back the end of reality by keeping the Watchers frozen. So at some point in
Wow.
the future, you bet one of these woken up frozen Watchers is gonna be a raid boss. Now, when it comes to the NPCs, this is where things get diverse. First of all, remember that the Freljord is brutally cruel. Everything is frozen, and survival is everything. So the first enemy here would be the wildlife. From Rhymefangs to Yetis to Druvasks to Elnuks to Mammoths to the worst of them all, Poros. Next we are going to fight the Freljordians themselves. There are three main tribes here.
What is
The
this cinematic?
Avarosans,
Oh
who
my
are quite
gosh, that looks
peaceful,
so good.
The Winter's Claw, who are quite brutal, and the Frostguard, Lysandra's followers who hold back the Watchers. And let me tell you, these guys have some badass
Dude,
armor.
that
Among the
weapon
notable
looks so
tribes, there are
good.
also the Ursine, which are shamans who worship the Volibear, the primal god of the wild who slowly turns his worshippers into twisted animalistic monstrosities. Speaking of
Whoa.
which, yes, there are also the primal gods of Freljord. And finally, we need to talk about the Iceborn. When the Watchers tried to arrive here, they tainted the ice around them. This special ice is called the True Ice. And it is so dangerous, you literally die if you touch it. However,
Cool.
the Watchers also tainted some people, giving them the ability to touch the ice. It is still extremely painful for them to hold a true ice weapon, but at least they can survive it. These people are known as the Iceborn. But people were not the only things that were tainted. There are also ice trolls, some of whom are also Iceborn. To be honest, these guys were made
Oh my
to
god,
have
this
their
reminds me
own
of freaking
dungeon. But there
Valheim,
are
dude.
also
Those
some
trolls.
animals that were twisted by the Watchers. And Lysandra is even twisting some beings herself to make
Dude, that
them
looks so
serve her.
scary.
So overall, Freljord is gonna have a lot of cool warriors, shamans, and horrors. So these would be the three regions on the main continent.
Who is
But
that
this
guy?
place is actually so big it can easily make the base world of the game. Especially since there are a bunch of smaller regions in between them. There is Nockmerge, full of witches, Argent Mountains with their dragons, Tokugo
Oh,
with void
dude.
monsters, Dalamore Plains with
Show me the
him,
Shadow
and
Isles.
so much more.
Show me the
But
shadow.
from here, you can cleverly set up the expansions because of how well everything is interconnected. So now, let's have a look at the continent to the east called Ionia. Ionia has a very close connection to Noxus. You can only
How
guess
does he
why.
know all this
It's because
information?
Noxians once
guy's,
tried
like,
to conquer
insanely
it all
smart.
during an event simply called the Invasion of Ionia. This was a horrible war full of using children as soldiers because Noxians thought
Do they have
Ionians
gameplay
wouldn't
for this
fight
game?
back against children. And
I
chemical
wanna
weapons.
test this shit out.
Lots and lots of chemical weapons. Speaking of which, remember Singed from Arcane? He's the guy who chemically devastated Ionia. Eventually, Noxus failed, but they kept their small controlled territories. So the first quest here could be simply boarding a ship, sailing over, and exploring the place for the Noxian Empire.
Oh shit.
Now, when it comes to Ionia itself, the
I
place
gotta make sure I'm
gets
not getting
mystical.
invited.
Everything here is alive and connected to the spirit of nature. And I mean everything, from the animals to the people to the buildings. Everything is alive. So if you anger Mother Nature, your house can twist and strangle you in your sleep. So you can only
Riot King,
imagine
a League of
how
Legends
Mother
story
Nature
is an
fought
RPG
against
about the Shadow
Noxians.
Isle stuff.
Usually a river came alive to drown them.
Ooh.
That's why all the buildings here
Ruined
look like they were
king.
woven from wood.
I wonder if that has to
It's
do with the
because
king that they
were.
killed.
With nature
you know?
magic, people let nature build their houses.
That's pretty
It also
insane.
means that sometimes your house can just walk away. When it comes to the NPCs here, obviously there is gonna be a lot of nature spirits. And a lot more of simply mystical animals. From giant flying tigers to the never-ending story. But be ready to also face local
Never-ending
Ionians,
story?
blade masters, shadow cultists, murderers, and ninjas. Both good, bad,
Ooh.
and the in-between. But finally, there is also one more enemy that we could face.
No, I'm gonna play a
The
ninja.
furries. That's right,
No!
this race
What?
is known as the Vastaya. They are half humans and half magical animals. And yes,
Cat
canonically,
girls?
the species was born in exactly the way you are thinking. But to be fair, the Vastaya are
Oh.
quite cool and they are definitely gonna be a playable race. Just like Yordles, who also like Ionia a lot. Lastly, after Noxians
those are so
ravaged Mother
cute.
Nature, demons started occupying all the places filled with misery and doubt. So that's gonna be a
Wait,
nice
the
bonus
Yordles are
enemy.
so cute.
So yes, the exploration of
Ari
Ionia
is a
and the
nine-tailed
raid
fox
on the
girl?
Shadow Order could be
I am
a
interested
really
in
cool
Ari, the
first
nine-tailed
expansion.
fox girl.
But it's definitely not Riot's only option because we can
Oh
also
my
go
gosh,
south
she
to
looks
Piltover and Zone.
fine.
These are the ones people will know about simply because this is where Arcane took place. Piltover and Zone
Oh
are two
yeah,
massive
dude,
cities
I haven't seen
located one
Arcane.
above the other.
Thank you
And
for
they
the
are
posture
so
check.
massive they could easily be turned into their own playable
Ignore my
zones.
outfit, I'm
They
chilling,
are
dude.
both focusing on futuristic technology powered up by magic of the Hextech gemstones. Using this magic, they can power up anything from guns to augmented limbs to vehicles. Visually, it is simply futuristic Victorian era. And unfortunately, there wouldn't be much of enemy variety. We would likely fight the rich houses of Piltover and their deadly assassins, with the occasional thief on the streets, corrupt wardens, and the occasional rogue steam golem. But things get a bit more interesting in the undercity known as
Hi,
Zone.
Rhythm.
Zone is the dirty underbelly covered in thick toxic smoke.
Nice.
Because the majority of people are poor here, they developed a cheaper alternative to Hextech called Chemtech. This artificial
Oh.
green stuff can power up cheaper limb
Oh, this
replacements,
is so cool. What
as
the
well
heck?
as highly unstable weaponry. Zone is also controlled
this
by
is
the
literally
Cam
like,
Barons, which are obviously gonna be the main enemy here. But
Like
on the
gnomes.
side, we
Gnomes
may
and
also meet
goblins,
some
dude.
chemical mutants, unstable constructs, as well as some mass murderers and people who hunt down mass murderers. And funnily enough, at the very, very bottom of Zone itself, there are the hidden ruins
dude,
of an ancient
I'm really
city
interested in
full
this.
of traps.
Riot
That
MMO?
is obviously gonna be a cool dungeon.
Do they have a name
So
for
yes,
it?
there is
What
not
is
much
it
more
called?
that I can add here. Piltover and Zone were simply explored in Arcane. So if you like the series, you are gonna like this place. From here,
Cool.
we can travel
Yeah, I
further
know nothing
south
about League
to
of Legends
Shurima.
lore either.
Shurima
Literally.
used to be a massive empire that ruled
Oh
the
shit.
world.
I'm getting summoned, guys. Dude! That shit looks insane! What the fuck? What is there... It says, let's talk about Riot's upcoming MMO and how its world has been finished for years now. How does this guy know? Like, honestly. Like, this guy is, like, so beyond smart.
A few moments later.
Alright. Alright, we're gonna finish this really quick.
But after the Emperor got betrayed by his best friend, the entire empire collapsed.
Wait,
This
hold on, let me
region
rewind it
is a
back.
massive desert. You're gonna like this place.
Oh,
From
yeah,
here, we can travel further south to Shurima. Shurima used to be a massive empire that ruled the world. But after the Emperor got betrayed by his best friend,
Dude,
the
wait,
entire
that
empire
area looks so
collapsed.
cool.
This region is a massive desert with the occasional city near a river.
Oh.
In the center of the region, there is the Sun Disk, a colossal piece of
Kinda
star
looks like Star
metal that
Wars.
has the power to reflect
God.
celestial magic. The Shurimans use this celestial magic to turn their best soldiers into the Ascended, also known as the Golden God Warriors. However, these God Warriors wouldn't make a great enemy here. That's because after the Emperor had died, the Ascended started fighting for
Booster
leadership.
Fan, thank you for the
And
follow.
slowly, after learning how to use blood magic to gain the edge,
What's
they
up, Ooster?
morphed their own bodies
Oster?
and became the
Udder.
Darkin. Twisted, blood-frenzied monsters that would certainly make really cool
Ooh.
raid bosses.
Wait, that person actually looks so
Besides
cool.
this ancient evil, Shurima is also full of its own animals, raiders, dune scavengers, and on top of all of that, void creatures. That's because to the south, there used to be a kingdom known as Icathia that wanted to destroy the Shuriman Empire. So, they
Ooh.
asked the Watchers for help.
The
You
void.
can imagine how that went. The Watchers sent through some void beasts that consumed Icathia and polluted Shurima to this day. To fight back the void, Shurima does have a lot of hidden tombs around with hidden god warrior weapons. Not to mention that Shurima also has a circle of time mages who are trying
She's
to
pretty.
freeze the void
Wow.
in time. Now, as I mentioned near the beginning of the video, even if Shurima becomes
Ooh,
an
yeah.
expansion,
That would
they
be
can
awesome to
still
play.
easily make Shurimans a playable race because they are already connected to Noxus. As you can see, of course, Noxians already conquered part of Shurima, so some Shurimans are fighting for Noxus. Also, as a cool fact for those of you who liked Arcane, Hex Crystals are harvested in Shurima. That's why a Shuriman expansion would be a great follow-up to Piltover and Zone. And
Dude,
again, that's why
Riot just needs
can
to follow
easily
this guy's
turn
video.
only the northern continent into the base
Like
world.
word for word.
Anyway, going west from Shurima, we arrive at Mount Targon. This place is incredibly
Ooh, is this
unique.
dragons?
First of all, this mountain is not natural. It was literally pulled up from the ground by celestial gods. And that's because this place serves as a portal to the celestial realm, also known as Targon Prime. Now, because this mountain was pulled up, it also has some unique features. For example, you may find frozen lakes frozen horizontally on the mountain.
That's so cool.
And the very peak of the
What
mountain
the
is
heck?
special too. Should a mortal reach the peak despite the brutal climate and the deadly wildlife, either they die from exhaustion, or the celestial gods deem them worthy and they become an ascended aspect. There is aspect of war, aspect of the sun, aspect of the moon, aspect of the twilight, aspect of the guardian,
Aww.
and so on. Simply said, after people reach
That
the
was kinda
peak,
hot.
they become some of the strongest beings on the entire planet. So of course, the mountain is full of people who worship the celestial demigods. And I speculate this is where we could get a lot of cool armor sets. There are the Solari, who are devoted to the aspect of the sun. Then there are their rivals, the Lunari, who are devoted to the aspect
Ooh.
of the moon. But also the tribe I assume
my God,
will
what is
become
that,
a playable
stars?
class,
Astral?
the Warriors of Rakor. Of course, besides just humans, Targon also has all sorts of furry Vastaya. Near the bottom of the mountain, you may notice that the mountain is alive, but also there are Stellarcorns, a variety of
Yes,
mind-bending
Oster.
creatures, and loads of dragons.
It's called The
Speaking
World
which,
of
remember
Riot's
that this
MMO is
place is
already
linked to
done.
the celestial realm. So this is where we may also
Like,
meet
they
the
literally have the map
star-forging celestial
like,
dragon
completed
Aurelian
already.
Soul, as well as all sorts of other
And
celestial
he's showing
beings.
what he
A
thinks is
lot
going to
of
be the
these
raid
would
bosses.
make for interesting bosses. In fact, the ascension of Mount Targon would
That
be
would be
a really
insane.
cool raid. Next,
That would
on
be
the other
so
side
cool.
of Shurima, there is Ishtao. This is a special place where people are mastering the elemental magic. They are using it for everything. Fishing,
Let's go,
smithing,
shamans.
walking, and this place
Oh.
is definitely gonna be saved for an expansion. Basically, remember when Icathian asked the Watchers for help? And then that happened? Ishtal was their neighbor, and after they saw the Void devour an entire kingdom, they believed the Void would soon devour the entire world. So, using their elemental magic, Ishtal built massive walls of plants around their entire region, isolating themselves from the rest of the world. For 3,500 years, Ishtal stayed isolated, believing that the world outside of their walls was devoured by the Void. But now, very recently, some mages found out that the world outside is completely fine. So now, the Ishtali mages are slowly revealing themselves. To be honest, Ishtal is the most
Dude, I feel so
underdeveloped
bad for the
region in
mages,
Runeterra.
actually.
We know the region has a lot of hunting Vastaya, deadly plants, and some
Ooh,
elemental
poison ivy?
dragons, but most of the region is still a mystery
Ooh, a
to us.
monk.
So at least here, Riot will have the freedom to try
Jurassic
something
Park.
new. But now,
kinda
we
looked like
leave
it,
the
actually.
main continent to visit the last two regions. First of
Ooh.
all, there is Bilgewater. If you like pirate adventures, this is gonna be your place.
Hell yeah.
This is where we are going to explore inns and gambling dens, even some local temples worshipping the god of motion, Nagake Boros. Here we are going to fight pirates and sea monsters, sea witches, sea Vastaya, maybe some demons. And possibly we'll side with Sarah Fortune to fight the king of the pirates, Gangplank. But there's a lot more here. Last year, Riot released their RPG, which was set in Bilgewater. So not only can we already explore this place in detail, but it even has a monster journal. And at a quick glance, you can already see some really cool bosses too. However, this place is also linked to the
Dude,
last place
I want
wanna
a
show
fucking
you
pirate
today,
ship.
the Shadow Isles.
Oh, this is what I wanted to
Every
see!
year, the horrors of the Shadow
Finally!
Isles burn out, and Bilgewater just happens to be the closest place. So every year, Bilgewater is fighting the undead. Once upon a time, the Shadow Isles used to be the Blessed Isles, a rich place full of advanced magic. Long story short, there was a young asshole king who wanted to revive his dead queen, and in the process, he accidentally released dark necromantic magic. This magic destroyed the island and made it home for undeath. In the lore, this event is called the Ruination, and because the RPG is called the Ruined King, it may not be a surprise to you that you also get to explore the Shadow Isles there. And there they have anything you can imagine. Undead horrors creeping everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
And should we ever venture into these islands, I have no idea whom we're going to fight. The ruined king who caused all of this is banished elsewhere. Thresh, who siphoned his magic after he was banished, also left the Isles. And even Hecarim, the most brutal soldier of them all, is currently around Demacia. So the Shadow Isles don't currently have a
Oh my
main
gosh, this looks
baddie.
insane.
So this is where Riot could push forward
It looks
some
so
of the side
creepy.
characters. Now, even though these have all been the regions that are currently set up on Runeterra, Riot has already confirmed that there is a new continent further to the east. Currently, it is planned to be revealed in the upcoming Ruination novel. And so far, we know that this new continent is where the ruined King Viego is from. And this is also where he was banished at the end of his story. All we know about that place is that it is quite mystical. There are yet more dragons here, and in fact, Kamavor, which is the ruined king's nation, has a lot of draconic armor.
Dude, that guy
should
looks
Riot
so
run out of places to explore,
good. He looks like
don't worry, they can
Gojo,
always
actually.
make up more. But that's all I wanted to show you today.
Dude,
As someone who's been following the lore
looks
of League
so
of Legends from the very
cool.
beginning, I can tell you, I'm very confident the setting of Riot's MMO is gonna be great. Their incredible writers have been preparing the world for years now. And now, it's time to harvest the fruit. If you like this video, let me know in the
Nice,
comments below.
dude.
Because right now, I still have 3 more topics that I could talk about in regards to the MMO. I especially want to talk about the potential raid bosses we can face, and the potential classes we could play. And as someone who has collected an unholy amount of transmog, I would love to show you all the cool armor sets this universe has.
dude,
But
there's so many cool weapons in there. Like, how are these cinematics are so good?
Funslayer1 just subscribed. Hello, I would rather support you here than OnlyFans.